to start that yet. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. All right. In 3, 2, 1. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today with me, I have a special guest. Her name is Kelly Gray of American Biotech Labs, Silver Biotics. And most of you know, I have actually been working with Silver Biotics for, I think it's about a year now. And I love their products and I really align with their mission and how they do things. And long ago, I think I told this story. This is way before I went back to nutrition college. I was using topical silver on my kids. And so I had known about colloidal silver for quite a while. And I think it's time that we bring it back a little bit just to educate people so that they understand that, there is a real purpose for using this. So with that, welcome, Kelly. Thank you so much for coming today.
I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat because we did already record one podcast with Steve Ravelli, but I know I'm going to get a different take from you. So maybe you can start by giving us your background story, how you got into this field, and I know you're a nutritionist as well. So maybe talk to us a little about that.
Yeah, for sure. So, just a little disclaimer, I'm not a scientist. I love silver. It was kind of random that I got put into the position I'm in right now. I'm actually the marketing director for American Biotech Labs, or Silver Biotics. You'll see us a lot of the time on your feed as Silver Biotics. Um, so I was in skincare. I'm a master esthetician. And while I was in school becoming a master esthetician, I got really, really sick. And doctor after doctor after doctor, I went through them all and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then one of my good friends handed me a book, and it was actually, a lot of people probably have read this, but it's the Medical Medium book by Anthony Williams. And he talked a lot about Epstein-Barr. So I kind of went through, the whole book, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I have. This is exactly what's been going on that nobody's been able to figure out. So I dove deep into nutrition and supplements, and went through school to become a nutritionist. And I have never looked back. I was able to lower my numbers for Epstein-Barr, and really heal my gut. That is what I'm super passionate about, is the gut skin connection, but also gut brain connection. The whole microbiome is fascinating to me. And then I went into the supplement realm and really just learned about how to figure out, what is the best supplements for healing, and nutrition, right? What foods. So kind of went all over the place, did a lot of studying, research. And one day I had someone call me up, and one of my good friends had told our vice president of American Biotech Labs that he should hire me. So he actually drove up to my house, gave me a box of products, and I was like, yeah, I had just had a baby, didn't want to do work. I didn't want to work anymore. I wanted to do coaching. That's kind of what I wanted to go into, was more nutrition coaching one-on-one. But my 4-year-old at the time had horrible skin, and I had done every little thing to help her. I mean, I cleaned up her gut. She was eating well. And this stubborn eczema just would not go away. So I told him, I said, you know what? If this stuff heals her eczema, then I'm in. And if not, then I'm out. So within 4 days, her eczema was completely gone. And from there on out, I've been a believer in colloidal silver. And now I am where I am. Just, I think it was kind of the missing piece I needed. I was very surprised that I didn't know about it all those years I was studying nutrition and supplements. So I think it's a very valuable piece that people can use for their healing journey.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. Now, I'm going to just make a little disclaimer here that whatever we talk about, it's just for educational purposes only. both Kelly and I are nutritionists,
Mhm.
and so we do not diagnose, cure, or heal diseases. We're just talking about colloidal silver and educating on the product. And then that's the cue for you to just be aware of it and to go back to your own practitioner and discuss it with them. And of course, I'm always going to say, go back to a suitable practitioner, someone who knows about about it, as opposed to, a lot of general physicians might not know about colloidals.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah. Thank you for that, Sandy.
yeah, I think it's important to note because a lot of times people will listen to a podcast, they'll go back to their GP, and the GP will say, I have no idea what you're talking about. No, that's wrong because I haven't read about it in, my medical journals.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of practitioners who do things differently. So that's up to you. But we have to first get into what is colloidal silver because people don't understand it. And Kelly, I mean, I think when you mention silver, a lot of times people will get that visual of that guy who turned blue because he was drinking silver by the buckets, right?
And we will
But
go into that. We will go into why that is
yeah,
not
yeah,
okay
let's
and
do
what he
that.
was doing.
Let's talk
Okay.
about what colloidal silver is and let's talk about why you will not turn blue or silver.
Absolutely. So colloidal silver, it's a water-based solution containing extremely small particles of silver. These particles are so tiny. That's why it's called nano silver, measuring less than about 100 nanometers in diameter. But the difference between colloidal silver and ionic solution, which probably the blue guy was drinking a lot of, is that the colloidal silver is suspended in the solution rather than settling into the bottom or dissolved. So I think of like ionic silver being kind of like salt in water, where it just kind of settles and it turns the water a funny color and you know it's in there. But the suspension is what gives colloidal silver its unique properties. So ionic silver is dissolved like salt. True colloid is suspended. The sad thing is, and I tell everyone this, is that you really, companies, and I'm not saying this to point fingers, but you only need 3% colloid in your product in order to be called a colloid. So you can have some suspension and some dissolved. So when people drink that, they're actually getting more ionic silver than the actual colloid. So our job is to help you do your research, become educated on the colloidal silver, and just make sure you're taking a true pure colloid.
Okay, and I know that you guys have a lot of research and it's third
Mhm.
party tested, right?
Mhm. Yep, yep.
So, if somebody can't, is is Silver Biotics available globally or just North America? I'm just curious.
North America, yes. We can ship overseas. It is more expensive, and there's just so many regulations with silver that
Yeah.
it is difficult. So, I mean, eventually, I hope that would be a possibility, but right now, it's just too hard with
Okay,
with the
so
regulations.
the majority of my listeners are American anyway, but just so
Mhm.
that somebody knows if they can't get Silver Biotics, like what would they look for? Would it be that third party testing or what would they look
Uh,
for?
Yeah, so it would be the third party testing. It's also knowing the company, like do a deep dive search on where the company gets their silver from, where they're manufactured. Do they have good manufacturing process? Normally, if you write into a company and ask the question, they will, if they're honest and truthful and a good company, they will respond and tell you all you need to know. Um, the purity of colloidal silver is typically measured in parts per million, so ppm. You'll see like 10 parts per million, 20 parts per million. Sometimes there's 300 parts per million or 20,000 parts per million, which is kind of crazy. That's a little bit up there. And we'll get into that again with the blue man.
Okay.
Not always more is better, right? Less is better with most of the time. So I mean, for example, with our silver, um, it's certified pure 99.99% pure silver from a very, very responsible source. So yeah, you just have to do your research.
So what is the ppm of Silver Biotics? Is it different depending on the product?
It does, it ranges. So we have anywhere from 10 parts per million to 30 parts per million. And with all of our research, we've actually found that that is the sweet spot. 10 to 30 is the range where the silver goes in, does its job, doesn't harm beneficial bacteria, and it gets out of your system. We can go into a little bit with our AG404 patented technology. It is a specific pure, like I said, colloid that is patented. So with our silver, it's kind of neat. We have less is more, right? So 10 parts per million has been shown to do what other products could do at 20,000 parts per million. It's really, really incredible. And with our specific patented technology, it does have a silver oxide coating. So when it goes in, it actually is kind of like, dare I say, a machine gun. It's like do 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 do, and it just takes out the microbes, or I shouldn't say takes them out. It helps the body respond to um, pathogens, right? And it helps the body's immune system work better. And I am talking internally, but topically too. That's what it does. It helps protect your immune system from the overload or the bio load in the environment.
So, because it's an antimicrobial, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the parts per million, is it different depending on if it's an ingestible or a topical? Like, would it be higher if it's a topical or?
So with our product specifically, we typically stay in that range of 10. Most of our topical is about 20 to 24 ppm.
Okay.
And just because, I mean, that's what we found works the best, and um, it's safe and effective that way, right? It's safe and efficient, I should say. Um, so that's what we stay in, but you will find other places more. Again, do your research, figure out what works best for you. I yeah, I know our Silver Soul the best, but that's what we have found works.
So, okay. So we know silver is antimicrobial.
Mhm.
It goes in and it doesn't wipe out everything
Mhm.
in the
Mhm.
body because, like, it gets confusing where you see all of these products that, say that they will boost your immune system, right? So we want something to come in and maybe not boost it too much, but more support it. Does that make sense? Is silver more of a support?
Absolutely. Yep. Silver is definitely more of a support. Um, so what silver does is, well, taking it internally, it kind of goes in and clears the muddy waters. It gets rid of the bio load by just activating your immune system. So your body recognizes that there's an invader in there, even though silver is not an invader, but it does recognize it as so. And then your body's immune system turns on to, you know, start the attack.
Okay, so bio load. That would be, I just want to define that more. Biological load in the
Mhm.
body of maybe assaults that are coming in. Does that make sense?
Yep. So fungi, mold, any kind of microbe that could be attacking the body, silver can help kind of lessen that load.
Viruses. Are we allowed to say that?
No.
Okay. Okay, I said it. I'm just asking the
You said it.
question.
You can say it.
Okay.
So with, there has been a lot of research on that topic, and all I can say under my regulations is to do your own research and kind of figure out how silver will work best for you. We have had a lot of success with off-label use,
Okay.
and that's about all I can say about that.
That's fair. That's fair. Okay, because I just want to clarify this because I think it's important to note, people will go and they'll take oregano oil.
Mhm.
I'm just using this as an example when they're getting sick. And I know this because I've done it, Kelly, where I've taken it for too long And I know that my research has shown that oregano can, wipe out some of the good bacteria in the gut. And then what's happened when I've stopped taking it is I noticed it takes a while for my gut to kind of come back
Hmm.
to homeostasis, right? Can that happen with silver? Because I know that they have their immune product, which is an internal product, right?
Hmm. So the nice thing about our silver, and again, I'm only talking about ours, I don't know other silver companies, but ours has been shown to leave the body within 36 to 72 hours. So if you're worried about overdoing it, and just take it every 3 days. Personally, I only take the immune supplement when I feel something coming on. I don't take it as an everyday supplement. I don't take anything as an everyday supplement except for maybe my B complex and omega 3s that we talked about.
Yeah.
Great for your brain health. And a prebiotic or a probiotic every other day. But yeah, I personally don't take silver every single day. It's just when I feel that tickle coming in my throat, or if I, topically get scratched, burn, um, a rash of some sort, I use our wound gel because
Oh,
that you can't really overdo. I love our wound gel. We just got back from Hawaii. I don't know if you know this, Sandy. My family and I just went to Hawaii, and I put sunscreen on, of course, but we live in Utah, so we don't. It's cold right now. We're
yeah.
not used to being outside for that long, and my poor 2-year-old got the worst sunburn on her face and actually got some blisters. And we were like, oh no, that is going to scar. So I brought some of our wound gel with me, and I immediately just started putting it on. Within 2 days, those blisters were gone. She doesn't have any scarring. She is, it's all good. So I love our wound gel.
Actually, I think that's the one that I have been using when my kids were little. And they're not little,
Mm,
they're 18 to 22. 18 and 22. So I think that's the one, like that's been around for a long time, right?
it has, yep, and that is the FDA approved. What do you guys have in Canada?
Health Canada
Health
approved.
Canada. Okay, so in the US, FDA approved is kind of like the gold standard for um, medical products, I guess. So our wound gel is the only um, product that I can say can heal and burns, cuts, scrapes. Everything else I have to be very careful because they're considered cosmetics. But yeah, it's been around for a long time, and it's magic, pure magic.
So for people who are not familiar, listen, I'm a mom. Kids fall, cuts, scrapes, bruises like constantly. I mean, I remember my son, I don't think he ever didn't have a cut or a scrape or a bruise. And
Hmm.
even back then, so we're talking about he's a 2001 baby. So, we're talking about 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005. And I remember going, just slathering him with polysporin. And this is way before I went back to school, going, this isn't right. This is an antibiotic. Like people don't get it that just because it's sold at every drugstore, it's on the counter, that it's the right thing to do. So my first point of action would always be to see, can I resolve this with the silver wound gel?
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. Love that.
And then maybe, yeah, and I'm not saying that sometimes antibiotics are not needed because sometimes they are, but then
Hmm.
maybe you step it up. But it's really more about that consciousness to say, this is probably better for my kid, for his body, for his immune system to start here, as opposed to
Hmm.
always starting with an antibiotic. You know what I'm
Yep,
saying?
absolutely. I agree. I agree with that.
So, okay, let's talk about the blue man
The blue
because
man.
it's funny how, and I've actually had comments, I get a lot from social media of people who saw something once. And then that is the only thing that sticks in their mind when you say
Hmm.
something. And, there's different, obviously a lot. It's just like, estrogen therapy causes cancer in women. Like trying to get that dogma out of somebody's brain is hard, right? So with
It is.
silver, it's always about this blue man. And you see that on in history books of people who turn blue. So you mentioned that there's suspended
Mhm.
and then there's the ionic. Did
Correct.
I
Yep.
say it right?
Mhm.
So what are these people doing? Like, how do they even
They're
get?
probably making it in their bathtub, making it in their garage. They've got
Oh,
some fancy, it's so interesting. And were you at the biohacking conference?
no, I wasn't.
Okay. Okay. Well, we had a booth there, and anytime, a handful of time, someone would come around and be like, "Oh, I make my own. I make my own colloidal silver." And my poor team were so like, "Okay, we're not going to say anything," because you don't want to you don't want to gaslight people like that. They know what they're doing. And, I mean, hopefully they know what they're doing,
And
right?
maybe they do.
Nobody, maybe they do, maybe they don't. Nobody looked blue to me at the conference, so we were just kind of like, "Okay, that's great," and let them be on their way. So there's no established recommended daily intake for silver, but it is really important to be mindful of excessive intake, especially when you maybe don't know the source, or if you are making your own and you don't know the parts per million that is in your silver. So the condition argyria is a rare but permanent blue-gray discoloration of the skin. And it's actually caused by the accumulation of the silver particles in the body. So silver, ionic silver loves minerals. It's mineral loving. They actually get stored underneath your fat cells in your skin. And when you go out into the sun, silver oxidizes. So again, turning you with this blue grayish discoloration. It's completely, and this is so weird to me, it's not toxic to your body in any way,
Really?
but it is not reversible. So once you are blue gray, you are blue gray.
Okay, hold
Um,
on. So you're saying there's actually no symptoms associated with it other than that your skin is blue?
yep,
Oh,
yep,
that's interesting.
yep.
Oh,
So
I thought you would become ill or something.
no,
Something would
no,
happen.
yep, no. So it's like I said, non-toxic. You just kind of look like I don't know what other things are blue.
Tin
Reptile
Man.
of some
The Tin
sort. Yeah.
Man. The
The
Tin
Tin Man.
Man, right?
maybe maybe the Blue Man group should do that. I think that that's the only way you could be like okay with that condition. But yeah,
Okay,
it's interesting.
that is so interesting because I thought that there would actually be symptoms that would go along with it. So, because silver is a metal, right? And
Mhm.
it's kind of like, how would you even know if you have too much silver? Could you test that?
You can. So silver is difficult because it's considered a transient metal, which means that, and hopefully I'm not getting this wrong. If Steve was here, he would correct me. But it actually doesn't get metabolized. It just kind of goes in, does its job, and goes out. So it's not like copper where you can take way too much and actually become sick from it.
Right.
Um, so it is, I guess you could say, Steve would say absolutely not. It's not considered a heavy metal, but I've heard both sides.
Okay.
But from what I know, it is a transient metal. It does not get metabolized by the body, like copper or mercury or all the other heavy metals. Um, so yeah, again, you don't get a reaction. Just the worst thing that can happen is your skin turns blue.
Got it. Okay. And where would we get silver anywhere else? Would we get it from like
Hmm.
how do we you don't absorb it if you're wearing silver, do you? I just wonder how do
Um,
you get it?
That's a great question. I mean, I would assume that you can absorb it if you're wearing it, but it's more likely to be the ionic silver.
Right.
Right. Because your skin is your largest organ. So you do absorb whatever you're putting on your skin, even in very low amounts. But your body is so great at detoxing. Most people have really great detoxification systems that are able to just kind of flush things out. Um, Food wise, it can be obtained through consumption of certain foods like beets, carrots, spinach. Um, but again, ionic silver, not colloidal silver. Colloidal silver is more of a concentrated form of that suspended form of silver. So for those seeking the health benefits of silver, they would need to do a colloid. And
Oh,
again, you can drink ionic silver. It's more of the dissolved, but not very safe if taken in large quantities.
yeah, you'll turn blue.
Mhm. You'll turn blue.
Okay. Are there any contraindications to using silver both topically or internally?
So, yes and no. We have not had any a million plus units sold. We have never heard of anybody that has had an issue. The one thing I will say though with silver, if you are taking, and again, disclaimer, talk to your doctor before you take any supplements or anything. If you have some issue, um, immune depressant, if you're taking immune depressant because you have an overactive immune system, maybe consult with your doctor
Okay.
about taking silver, because silver, like we discussed before, will activate the immune system to turn on. So if you already have an overactive immune system, you don't want to make it even more active.
That makes
Um,
sense. That's internally
top,
though, right?
that's internally.
Okay.
Yep. Topically, again, I would say the same thing if you were taking an immune depressant, just because your skin is your largest organ. I would still consult with your doctor and just see if, and how, I don't know, everyone has a different story. But we have not seen anything topically come back as bad. It's all
Mhm.
if people we've only had good results and positive feedback with our
Okay.
product.
All right. That's good to know. Now, let's get into the fun stuff. Let's get into some of the products because I've used quite a few. And I'm going to tell because a lot of people who follow me know about my dental implant situation, which I know you
Mhm.
know about.
Mhm.
And okay, if anybody's had an implant, the only thing that sucks is that you got to wait before you actually get your tooth. You have to wait to make sure that you pass this torque test. So you kind of have this weird like gap there. And then if food gets stuck, you'll get cankers. So I was using the tooth gel. And
Mhm.
honestly, it amazed me personally because I was like, okay, first time I got the canker, I had it for a week. It was sore. If you've ever had a canker, even if you haven't had an implant, people have, I'm sure, gotten cankers. So when I used the tooth gel, 24 to 48 hours, every single time, it was gone. So I was
Mm.
pretty amazed. But you have oral care? Why would it be? I guess because it's antimicrobial.
Correct. Yep. So we have our toothpaste that people use for regular brushing of the teeth. And then we have our tooth gel that was actually created for more sensitive gums and teeth. And actually, so 25 years ago, this was created because um, one of our founders had veneers and he couldn't use any abrasives in his toothpaste. So they created the gel so that he could brush his teeth. And it has turned into this big, um, we get a lot of feedback like you just gave us, where people have been using it on some things that are going on in the mouth. And it's kind of like our wound gel. It just
I
heals
was
very
amazed.
quickly. Mm-hmm.
And, again, like I know we can't make any kind of medical claims, but trust me,
Mm-hmm.
like I had this, so we're recording this in November and I had the actual implant in June. So it's months that you got to wait for
Mm-hmm.
the tooth. And so on and off, if I don't have a chance to rinse my mouth after I eat, like I'll have an issue. And
Mm-hmm.
I was totally amazed because you know how it is when you know what this is like, Kelly, because you're a nutritionist, right? You have so many tools in your toolbox, and you're like, oh, wait, I got to try this one and see if this works. And I'm like, this is my go to now. I love it.
Yeah. Good.
So
I'm so glad. Yeah, I mean, you have to think your mouth holds so much bacteria, right? Even if you have the cleanest mouth ever, you're constantly putting food in there, drinking. So
yeah.
that tooth gel really does help decrease the bio load. And the nice thing is it kind of stays put. I don't know if you've noticed, like it
Yes.
when you put it
Yes.
on, it stays in the area that you want it to stay in, so that it's protected for a little
Yes.
while.
That's exactly what so I would take a Q-tip, put a
Mhm.
little bit of the tooth gel, and I would put it right at the implant, just around the area, and then literally 24 to 48 hours, completely gone. So
Wow, that's
it was
amazing.
it truly amazing because when it would start, you know how any kind of canker, you can kind of
Hmm.
feel it beginning, and then
Yep.
you've got it for a week, guaranteed at
Mm.
least, 7 to 10 days, you're going to have that little bit of a sore, depending on how bad it is. So I have to talk about that. Now, you also have skin creams as well as the wound gel. So
Yes.
there's the gel if you have like a cut or scrape,
Hmm.
but the cream is great for eczema, right?
Well, I can't say that,
Okay.
but from personal experience, of my, I put the wound gel on my daughter first when it was an open wound, and then I put the cream on after the wound healed, right? So the cream is really amazing at holding in moisture, and that is, I have the driest skin. I'm in Utah. I don't know how it is it's dry in Canada, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
similar weather.
Yeah.
My hands crack, my feet crack. I have all the cracking going on, and that cream is so good at holding in that moisture. So I actually like to put the wound gel on first
Yeah.
and then put the cream over it. Um,
That
yeah,
makes sense.
it works wonders.
Okay. So even though what I will say, even though it's off-label use, like
Hmm.
I have actually used it on little patches of eczema. That's all.
Hmm.
I mean, I have to say, and I know it's not, I guess you can't say that because it's the labeling is not
Right.
for eczema,
Hmm.
but I can talk about how I've used it. Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
you also have a serum for the face that's mixed with hyaluronic acid, right? Is that
We
right?
do.
Tell me
And
about that. Beauty stuff, I'm all in.
yes. So, one thing, side note, all of our products are extremely clean. That is what I am so passionate about. I do not like any of the fillers, preservatives, um, endocrine disruptors. I'm not a fan. Again, that's my skincare background and now my nutrition background. So they kind of hired me to make sure everything stays clean, which I love. So I helped Steve, which you guys will have to go back and listen to that episode. I don't remember what episode it was,
I'll put it
but
in the
Sandy
show
will
notes.
put it in the show notes. Um, so I get to kind of help him side by side. Like, this is what I want in there. This is, where I want it sourced from. So with our hyaluronic acid, it is purely our Silver Soul technology and hyaluronic acid. But the cool thing about it is a lot of products only have one form of hyaluronic acid. Ours actually has two. It has the short chain and the long chain. So it actually helps having both of those chains in the hyaluronic acid helps drive that hyaluronic acid into the skin deeper. So it helps really plump and moisturize, and maintain that flexibility in your skin.
And how does the silver add? Because, okay, I will say a couple weeks ago, I released a podcast with a skin scientist, and he did talk about how hyaluronic acid is an incredible nutrient for the skin and for aging.
Mm-hmm.
I call it
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
nutrient. It's actually we make our own, but as we get
Yep.
older, we don't make as much, right?
Right, correct. So the silver really in that product, and kind of for all of our products, it acts as the preservative. Silver is an amazing preservative. So we don't have to have any of the, like I said, endocrine disruptors, synthetics.
Ah,
If you just use silver, it helps keep that bio load, or that, the microbes at bay, so that we can keep our products so clean. And then you get all the added benefits with the silver. So kind of Win-win.
Well, logically too, my head is kind of going there. I'm like, okay, well, with skin, if you have issues with acne, it would help with that. The silver would also help with that, wouldn't it?
Yes, and I love the hyaluronic acid serum for that purpose,
Yeah.
especially when I'm getting just little tiny, I don't know, call them whiteheads, blackheads. I put that stuff all over my
Yeah.
face. I
There you go.
I cleanse my face, put a toner on, put the serum on, and then I put my moisturizer over that. And it's just
It feels
I
amazing.
love it. It's so smooth. It locks the moisture in. I even put it on my lips. That's like my favorite thing to do because the hyaluronic acid plumps, right? They have those treatments that people pay thousands of dollars for to get their lips plumped. And most of the time it's just hyaluronic acid. So just apply your or apply your lipstick and put the hyaluronic acid on or vice versa. And it will have that pumping effect.
Yeah, actually, I think that's in Europe they call that there's a procedure called profilo. Profilo? Profilo? It's
Hmm.
where they basically stamp hyaluronic acid all over
Yes.
your face.
Okay.
I mean,
Hmm.
you don't need it because you're so young and pretty.
Oh, thank you.
But when your skin starts to get older and you're not producing as much hyaluronic acid. But the
Mhm.
thing that's really amazing that this skin scientist was saying, how people are putting topical collagen and topical this, and he's saying that hyaluronic acid is a molecule that's small enough that actually gets right into under the skin and does something,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
It
Yep. That
absorbs.
is, and I actually back to the people in Europe doing, I can't remember what you called it, but
Profilo, I think it's called.
Profilo. So I have a lot of friends in the aesthetics industry that have continued on their, you know, being a master esthetician. They use the hyaluronic acid serum when they are microneedling as the serum that they put on so that it gets driven into the skin deeper. So
That
another thing to do.
totally makes sense. Totally. Okay. So we talked about oral care. We talked about the immune, which is an internal immune supporter, right?
Yep. Hmm.
Right. We talked about the wound gel. We talked about the skin. What did we didn't talk about pets.
I was just going to say, we do have a pet line, which
Yeah.
surprises people. We have the immune support for pets, and we also have a wound gel for pets. So I actually put just a teaspoon in my dog's water every morning just to make sure for one, it makes me feel like his mouth is a lot cleaner than it actually is because I know what he's doing. So
I know what
I
mine's
like
doing. It's kind of gross,
I
but we
like it
love
for that reason. I really love them so much.
we
They
love
drink out
them.
of the toilet. Yeah, all the things. So I love that for our pets specifically. And then the wound care gel that we have for all pets is it's the same as our wound care gel for humans. It's just packaged differently. So
Oh,
just so you know.
okay. So you're talking about the immune support?
Yes. So they
Okay.
are both pretty much the same as the human. Um, how should I say this? Yeah, all of our human supplements. It's just for pets. A little side note again, if you have fish, do not use it in your fish's bowl. That is the one animal that cannot have silver.
Oh,
So
interesting. Why is
mhm.
that?
It's toxic to them.
Oh,
So I just don't think that their little bodies can handle. Maybe bigger fish can. I don't know. I've never tested it. We don't do that. We don't test on fish, but yeah, we just know no fish.
okay. Well, so did I get all the product lines? Is there anything I
Trying to
forgot?
think. One thing that we forgot to mention, we do have lozenges that
Oh,
are delicious. We have a manuka honey and we have a vitamin C lozenge, and then we recently just came out with an elderberry zinc that is sugar free. Um, Again, super clean ingredients. I like taking them on the airplane along with my vertical sprayer. I love my vertical sprayer. And I don't know, Sandy, do you have the vertical sprayer?
what is that?
The
No.
vertical sprayer is a vertical sprayer, and that's about all I can say about it. But it actually looks like a nasal sprayer, but we can't say nasal because of certain FDA. regulations. So it is a vertical sprayer, but it's really, it's small. You could throw it in your bag, take it on the airplane, take it anywhere with you, and you'll just have that immune support.
No, you never sent me that, Kelly.
Okay, I will send you it.
The vertical sprayer, because oh my God, if I tell you this story, you're gonna laugh so hard. Does it sting your nose? I know you're not like, does it sting?
It hasn't. No, not mine. No, and it's just silver, so there's nothing else in it that's going to cause
Oh my
stinging.
gosh. So you would laugh. I traveled for the first time when we were first allowed to travel, and I bought povidone. Am I saying it right? Povidone iodine. Have you heard of this?
I
Oh,
have not.
well, I made my husband spray it. I think he wanted to kill me because it was like you burned and singed every
Oh,
little hair in your nose. It was so intense, but we were so
oh man.
afraid that we wouldn't have been able to come back after
Yes.
traveling, and we had our kids at home. And anyway, so it's good to know that the vertical sprayer doesn't singe every single nostril hair that you have.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't hurt your sinuses. If you do use it in that way, it does not burn at all. So,
And I remember I recommended it to a girlfriend, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? Why would you recommend?" She also had little kids. She wanted to make
oh
sure
my
she
goodness.
came back, right?
Yes.
Just
Yep.
give
Oh,
her the
so she
butterfly.
used it. Oh
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
Yeah. Too
Okay.
funny.
So the one thing we didn't really get into is some of the research that's out there, because everybody wants to know, well, like, how could you just say this stuff is, going to do this or that without having any research?
Mhm. So we have quite a bit of research actually. If you go to Silver Biotics website, so it's silverbiotics.com, we have a research section that you can go in and read all you want to about our science. And then I would just say, there's so many studies. There's several studies that I can think of right now. Um, and just kind of take a deep dive into the way that you think it would work best for you. Like everything, there's not so good studies and great studies. So just kind of, go through at your own pace if you want to learn more about it. But our website, silverbiotics.com, is a great place to start.
And the one thing I will note when I was kind of digging into some of the research myself is that silver was used as an antimicrobial before
Mhm.
the advent of antibiotics and penicillin. So, you know, I I've read everything. I've read the good, I've read the bad, and I do always say you have to do your own research actually in everything. So,
Mhm.
don't ever just read something or take my word as gospel or anything like that, because you need to do your own research and actually look at it thoroughly before you make an actual decision. Make sure it's informed and make
Mhm.
sure you know where is the research coming from.
Absolutely. I love that you said that. And we were talking about this before we jumped on this podcast, but we are all unique, right? Um, so you really have to just kind of sit back, ask yourself, will this work for me? Is this something that I should be taking or doing that will benefit my health? So yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
Mhm.
I think that's a good way, unless there's anything. I think we covered a lot, didn't we?
I think so too. I think, yeah, if you guys have any of your listeners have any questions, they can definitely find us on Silver Biotics Instagram. It's just Silver Biotics. And then our website is silverbiotics.com. And we are in there daily answering questions. Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I think
No,
we
and
covered it.
that sounds good. And I also have a discount code. It'll be in the show notes. Please take advantage of it because it's a great discount. And yeah, by any means, if you have questions, send them to me, send them to Silver Biotics. They're really good at responding to things. And I think that's a great way to start. All right.
Amazing.
All right. Thank you,
Thank you,
Kelly.
Sandy.
Thank Okay, I hit stop. Stop.